Where do you sit on the 1 to 10 physique aesthetics scale? We're going to go over 3 physiques that were submitted to our physique analysis, where essentially guys submit their physiques and we give them an in-depth breakdown of strong points, weak points, a full aesthetic score alongside actionable steps that they can take to improve their physique.
So we're starting off first with Alohan. Sorry if I butchered the name. So this is an insane physique. Motherfucker looks like Bruce Lee. Okay, so our general first impressions was this is insane progress for just 1 year of training. So we did mention that. You've got a very aesthetic physique, lean and well proportioned with a solid structural foundation. No major flaws to jump out, just some minor areas that he could improve on, which we will dive into. So yeah, straight away, man, dialed in midsection, shoulders are looking pretty good. V-taper looks insane. So we can see that the back is a little bit of a lacking area as well as the arms slightly.
This guy is also extremely young as well. I think he's only 15. So for that age, man, this is just crazy, honestly. Like at 15, I looked like a fetus compared to this guy. So he's lacking areas where his back and his arms only slightly in comparison to the rest of his physique, and his visible strengths were his chest, his shoulders, and his abs. So like the full frontal picture of his physique is the best part. Okay, we gave him an aesthetic score of 7.5. This is very generous on our scale, okay?
And then when measuring his shoulder to waist ratio, we can only do diameter, obviously, because it's on the screen. It is 2.1, all right? We adjusted down to about 2 if you're adjusting for the phone angle in the picture, because if you're holding your phone in a mirror up like this, it does make the lower half look a little bit smaller, but this is still extremely aesthetic. I wouldn't be surprised if this is like a 1.7, 1.8 shoulder to waist ratio in circumference in real life if you were to measure it. I think it is carried by wide clavicles and a naturally small waist. With a little bit more muscle mass, this guy has so much potential to maybe even compete in the future. In terms of left-right symmetry, we gave him an 8 as it's very symmetrical. Only a slight tilt in the back, as we can see here.
This is nothing really to do with muscle. It's more of just a postural issue. So this could be adjusted.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually pretty common in the physique analysis. I've noticed is a lot of guys have a slight lean, and I actually do have a little bit of a lean as well. And it can cause your back to develop a little bit asymmetrical. The left side of my back is actually much bigger than the right side of my back. So you need to make sure that you sort that out. And then in terms of upper and lower development, the legs aren't visible in the photos. Once again, none of you submit your legs.
And with the star system, it's relative to your physique. It's not an overall star rating like the aesthetic rating. The delts, we gave 4 stars, great size separation relative to the physique. The chest was 3 stars, great insertions. It just needs more fullness overall, lower and upper. Back, 2.5 stars, arms 2.5 stars. It's in proportion. Would definitely benefit with a little more size.
And then the abs we gave 4 stars because just look at how chiseled in they are. And this has a lot to do with body fat percentage. And by the way, guys, this guy actually got his physique analysis for free because he joined the school. So we've completely revamped the school. And now if you're in the school for 2 months, you get a physique analysis completely for free. And that's a part of the new update we added inside the Spartan Protocol 2.0. His estimated body fat percentage we said was about 12 to 13%. You could say a little bit leaner, but I do think that the lighting in this photo is carrying him a bit. As we can see here, he does have a little bit more fluff around like the lower back and around the front here, and a little bit on the arms as well. And it's a clear example here of angles and lighting. Now, I'm pretty sure that this is like on the same day because he's wearing the same shorts and everything. But it's funny because it literally looks like a before and after photo, right? This is how like important it is to pose correctly, get the right lighting. And this is why we are so adamant, even make videos about how to take photos and how to show off your physique in the best light, because this looks like 2 completely different physiques. Honestly, it looks like a before and after photo because of the lighting and the angles. As you can see, the abs now are in the shadows. They're like in front of the light source, which I'm assuming is to the window next to him. Look at that difference. And that's also probably flexing more as well, or maybe even with a pump. I'm not 100% sure if this is on the same day. Fat distribution is pretty even, and we recommend a lean bulk. He's at an ideal point now to just start packing on size because it's not like he needs to cut any further, right? Maybe he could look a little bit better, but since he's only a year into training, he could probably gain muscle and gain weight and keep exactly or even maybe lose a little bit of body fat.
So his structure and genetic factors, his clavicle width is obviously broad, especially for his age. This is actually quite uncommon and pretty insane, I'm not gonna lie. Waist width as well is clearly very narrow. Limb length is normal to slightly short. He looks to be a little little bit shorter, and his muscle insertions are phenomenal, okay? They're great. And for his training focus, I simply told him to just work on those weak areas, prioritize them a little bit, push hard on the progressive overload, especially when you enter that lean bulk, to make sure you put on the most amount of mass possible. I said follow a training split that you enjoy.
And then for the diet strategy, it's obviously just a lean bulk, 300 calorie surplus, 2.2 grams per kilo body weight or 1 gram per pound. Prioritize carbohydrates around training, moderate to consistent fats, and aim to gain 0.2 to 0.5 kilos per week for maximizing that clean mass gain without, any excess fat, because this guy's at a nice lean body fat percentage and he doesn't want to like dirty bulk too far or like gain any fat.
Once again, guys, I'll plug it shamelessly again because I'm so proud of what we've built. This guy got his physique analysis for free for being in the school group. If you want to see what he has to say about it, you can simply go to that first link in the description. He talks a lot about what's actually inside of it and the same amount of value that is inside.
Or if you've already got your training and diet locked in and you simply just want the analysis, that's the second link in the description. You can apply there. Next up, we have Nathan. Now, this is a very solid frame with insane potential, especially if he stays consistent with the training and the diet. And this is just 8 weeks of progress. And this is extremely promising. As we can see, the frame is very good, very wide clavicles, a small waist. Once again, these guys are blessed. Lacking areas would be his chest and his traps slightly, and his calves could need some work a little bit as well. Kind of looks like the John Jones calves. Sorry, bro. And for an aesthetic rating, for 8 weeks of progress and not even having that much mass, we still gave him a 6.75 just because of how much like the frame carries him. With a little bit of muscle mass, this guy could look insane. I mean, just look at the back. The back is clearly a strong point, as well as the shoulders.
And you can see that reflects in his shoulder to waist ratio, 1.96 in diameter. This is extremely aesthetic, carried by the naturally broad clavicles and the tight waist. He's kind of got that like coat hanger look, especially because he's a little bit taller, I can already just tell.
And this is why we always talk about genetics and how important it is for having an aesthetic physique. We're not going to cope here and say like, just grind in the gym, stay consistent, train hard. Guys could train for 3-4 years and still not have a shoulder to waist ratio like this. It is extremely dependent on your actual skeletal frame. Left-right symmetry, we gave 8.5. Not many noticeable asymmetries, maybe slightly in the chest insertions and the ab insertions. Upper, lower body development, it's mostly in proportion, but the calves do need to be brought up a bit.
His stars pretty much reflect his strong points and his weak points. Obviously, his back and his delts get the most stars. I estimated his body fat to be about 13%. I know it looks to be a little bit leaner, but I think that's still pretty accurate. His fat distribution is even, and I recommended him to hit a lean bulk. He's at a perfect point now to lean bulk. He doesn't really need to get any leaner, especially this early into training. Just hit that lean bulk, really put on that size, especially with this potential.
Clavicle width is obviously broad. The waist is narrow, perfect combination. Limb length is slightly longer. His arms are quite long. His muscle insertions are great. It's a little bit harder to tell because of the lack of muscle mass. And then for the training and the diet, it's honestly just staying consistent, prioritizing the lacking areas, and going on a nice lean bulk. Finally, we have Leon. So this is someone who's only recently picked training back up. This is a very solid foundation. It's a common theme in this episode that these guys all have very great frames, wide shoulders and narrow waists. The obvious weak points is the chest. As we can see here, it is pretty blaringly obvious that the chest is the weak point. He was aware of this. He mentioned this in his training experience. The arms are great. Look at the triceps, the delt separation, and holy fuck, the back looks crazy, especially with that narrow waist and the massive arms. And honestly, I think that carries this guy's aesthetic rating. We gave him a 7.3.
He has the potential to go even higher when he starts filling out those lacking areas. Like if he were to just have a great chest on top of this would be a really insane looking physique, especially if he was at a lower body fat percentage.
And his shoulder to waist is 1.88, which is extremely good. And we measure from the front, but I honestly think if we measured from the back, I don't know why the waist looks tiny in this behind shot. Now, for the left and right symmetry, we did give him a 4, as you probably noticed there is a pretty noticeable tilt in his posture, okay? So it isn't as noticeable from the back, but even then you can see the same problem that even I suffer from, as the left looks more developed than the right due to that tilt. It is very noticeable here as he's like leaning to one side. Now, I'm not a physio or anything, so I'm not going to give any advice to like fixing posterior tilt or anything like that. But if this guy wanted to bump his aesthetics up straight away by like half to maybe even 1 point, fixing that posture would be massive.
His upper to lower development, we gave a 7 7. The legs are solid. They just need a touch more size in comparison to the rest, but overall it's nothing that's blaringly obvious. His star rating was pretty evenly distributed apart from his chest, obviously.
And we estimated the body fat to be about 14%. As you can see here, even with like some pretty good side lighting, the abs haven't quite come through yet. This is still lean, don't get me wrong. This is still like a good body fat to sit around, especially for strength and progressing. And the back actually isn't holding as much fat. But you can see around the midsection here, there is a little bit of fat, and it is just generally a little bit softer to like a 12 to 13% body fat physique. We recommended he cuts down to about 10% to really bring out those aesthetics. Then he can like lean bulk from there and put that mass back on. But he already has quite a decent amount of mass. So if he were to cut down, he would look really good.
His clavicle width is broad. His waist width is narrow. That's like, once again, the theme of this episode. His limb length is normal to short. The muscle insertions are very good. And for the training, I just said lock in the consistency. He already had a pretty good plan, and that's reflected by his physique.
And if he were to bring up this chest as well, focusing mainly, I would be going crazy on chest, just trying to bring that up. That would balance out the physique a lot and would make his physique look crazy because it already has amazing potential.
So those were the 3 physiques that we rated today. They were very aesthetic. Almost all of them have great potential. And it's a great example of how genetics play a massive role in your aesthetic potential.
By the way, guys, I wouldn't say this is like the even distribution of the physiques that get submitted. Obviously, the guys that know they have pretty good physiques do choose and consent to be on a video. I would say most of the ratings we give out are closer to 4s, 5s, and 6s, but obviously not as many of those guys are gonna consent to be on a video.
So that's essentially it. Once again, if you want a free physique analysis, you can join the school and you'll get it in your second month, or if you get annual, you get it straight away, or you can go to that second link and just get the analysis by itself.
Thanks for all the support. We're going to keep pumping out these videos. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.